Hi, my name is Gene Monterastelli, and the video you are about to watch is a recording from the 24 Hours of Tapping, which is an event that is held annually to support the Peaceful Heart Network. If you appreciate or learn anything from this video, the easiest way for you to say thank you is to support the work of the Peaceful Heart Network, who has worked with over 300,000 migrants, immigrants, prisoners, folks in disaster areas by bringing tapping to them. As you watch the video, across the bottom, you will see a link where you can support their amazing work. And I hope you enjoy this conversation. Carrie Rhodes is a licensed mental health clinician who has been working in the field for over 30 years. Her work is informed by her experience of the opioid epidemic and the loss of her son, Taylor. With her powerful message and rapidly growing platform, Carrie is challenging and changing how Americans treat and address mental health, trauma, and substance use disorders. Carrie is currently a trauma therapist in the Chesterfield County Jail and works in the HARP program, helping addicts recover progressively, that promotes healing among the incarcerated with substance use and mental health issues. The HARP program has certified over 100 inmates in the trauma tapping technique in collaboration with the Peaceful Heart Network. Here is my conversation with Carrie and the men of the HARP program. Carrie, as always, it is good to see you again. For the folks who don't know, could you just talk a little bit about what HARP is, how it got started, and then how you got connected to this actually awesome program?
So I always think it's hard to answer the question of what is HARP, because HARP are the beautiful people sitting behind me, and they tell the story far better than I do. But in 2016, Sheriff Carl Leonard, we had this 10th overdose death in Chesterfield County. And, he's like, enough. He's like, what's the number? How many people are going to have to die before we do something? And he went to our medical director and he said, how many people do we have with addiction? And our medical director is like, a lot. And he walked around the jail and he just started going pod to pod and said, how many people want recovery? And there were a couple brave guys who raised their hand, and he brought them down to the pod that we're sitting in here today. This is right where HARP started. And he put them in a pod, and that was the beginning of HARP. And it was March 16th, 2016. This March coming up will be our 10th year of HARP. And so It really started with a brave sheriff and a couple guys who wanted to do something different. And then 10 years later, none of us could have imagined what it would become or the pieces that would come with it or to it. HARP, and I'm going to let EJ kind of come in with me on this one, but HARP is, it's a family. It is a place where they and the sheriff created safety long before I got here. It's a place where you walk in and you are loved the second you hit the door. And you don't have to have your head on a swivel, and nobody's going to take your tub or hurt you in any way. And so that's the foundation for us for all healing. And then the rest is icing. We believe in lots of paths to recovery and healing in here. And I have a brave sheriff who lets us really create and do a lot of really amazing things. And if I can dream it or they can dream it, he lets us do it. And if it doesn't work, we throw it out, But HARP is based on the idea that recovery is not about addiction. It's really about recovering who you were always meant to be and your real self. And addiction has been a solution to a problem. And so what we try to do as a HARP team is give them lots of new tools to kind of excavate their best self and get rid of the things that are holding them back and then get in the way of that. And so we do a lot of things in here. I've been in HARP, it's almost 5 years. And I came in on a tour. Honestly, the sheriff wanted to show me what he was doing. I was doing a lot of advocating. I lost my son to addiction in 2019. And healthcare is how he fell in. He had a prescription for a shoulder injury. And he died in his addiction. And I watched people try to throw Jello on a wall and tell me that that was good treatment. And I knew that it wasn't. And I didn't have time to fix it then. But after we lost him, I had a massive amount of trauma myself, and I couldn't talk or think my way out of it. And those were the tools that I'd been taught as a therapist. And I thought, God, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And I took a tour in a jail, and I sat in a place where I didn't have to explain what was happening to me. And I felt the energy that lives in this place. And I was in, and I begged the sheriff to let me come and share my clinical gifts. I just learned about tapping and gotten certified in EFT, and then came in here and started using it with the men and the women, and we had some pretty amazing results. And then I crossed the path of Ganilla, who, you know, educated me about trauma tapping, which to me is a much simpler way to do it. And the fast technique. Actually, most of these guys yesterday were actually trained in trauma tapping. So we just did a certification for about 60 some folks yesterday for the men. But I've probably trained in here. I mean, I don't know. I think we're about 2,000 people, but inmates and first responders in our sheriff's office and in the community, in the fast techniques and just in tools that kind of help turn that down. But you know, I came to HARP to help them, but that is not what happened. I mean, I help in here, but they help me.
So you mentioned in that in addition to the folks that you're working with, that the staff is on board and they're learning and they're training. What was the initial conversation as you were turning to the staff and saying, hey, I want to share this particular tool with you? Was there embrace? Was there resistance? I'm guessing there was a mix of those things, like, because we know how silly and weird this tapping thing is.
Oh, they thought I was legitimately nuts. All of them, there was not one person who thought this lady's not unhinged. You'll hear Deputy Seals talk about that. She was part of our team then, and she's always part of our team. But they thought I was crazy, but we do crazy in here, and it was weird. And I told him, I said, this is weird. But the sheriff, when I told him what I wanted to do, he just asked me one question. He said, does it work? And I'm like, 100% it works. And he's like, then do it, and we did. And then they started trying it. And so, I mean, like I said, I have Deputy here right on the side over here, and she can talk about how crazy she thought the whole thing was. But what we saw was our staff started using it for themselves, for their family, and then they started using it in the jail, and they saw how quickly people started to regulate and get hold of themselves. And so when you have a tool that doesn't cost a penny, it doesn't require a prescription, and you can just use it wherever you are, that's powerful.
And so then, like you mentioned, you came from a mental health professional background before you came into this, and you encountered all of this. As someone who is a professional helper, what has changed in the way that you do work from when you first walked into the door in Chesterfield to where you are today? Like what tools, what approaches, what things have changed internally for you as someone who does this full time?
Yeah. Well, I think I learned in my son's addiction, walking beside him. See, I thought I was a fixer, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. I don't have the power to fix anybody. I just have the power to walk beside them and give them tools to heal themselves. It's not my job to heal them. It's their job. I'm just, part of the toolbox and the vessel that it goes through. So I think, I was humbled as I walked in here. And he taught me that. Taylor taught me that. Mm-hmm. I learned so much from them every day, about struggle, about, brutal, hard things. And they inspire me all the time. When I came in HARP, I had tapping and meditation. Today, some of the tools we use in here to heal, we do therapeutic writing, we write songs, we do spoken word, we rap. We know that when you create, you put a different signal on trauma and events. And so we do a lot of that in here. We have a sound bath. We have a trauma intensive now that is 4 days. And we do psychodrama, we do therapeutic writing and parts work, we do breath work, we have meridian yoga that uses the acupressure points that we use in tapping. Any tool we can find to help them. There's a real spiritual component to what happens in here. I mean, what I learned is that there wasn't one path. There are many paths, and our job are just to help support people on whatever path they choose and to try to find paths that give people relief and help them. Because if we don't help, people are going to die, and I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. And inside the facility, you're mentioning inside of this particular pod, what percentage of the population at large in the facility is participating in this sort of stuff?
And where I'm sitting right here.
Yeah. Like what percent? No, not inside the pod, but I'm saying like outside of the pod, inside of the facility. Like, what is the percentage
in the jail?
What's the difference between the jail population and the pod population that we're talking about right here on both the men's and women's sides?
So to get to HARP, you have to want to come to HARP. So no judge can order them to HARP. Nobody can put them there. They have to apply. And then my mentors and EJ's one, they actually interview people and decide whether they get to come in or not. Our bar's not very high. You just have to want better for yourself. Right. Some people come for the wrong reasons and stay for the right ones. But you know, our jail population is about 350 inmates. About 100 to 110 are in HARP. We have about 30 to 40 females on any given time. And we, right now, today, I think we're at 70 men. And, you know, we when we get higher than our, it's hard because it's a heavy lift in here, not that many people, but we have about 70 men, 70, 75.
That's awesome. So EJ, talk to me a little bit about your experience with all of this stuff. What was it like the first time? So you've decided to be in HARP, you want to do something that's better, and then you're presented with these tools that are odd, that are unusual, that are things that you haven't done before. Like, what was your initial reaction when you were presented with these tools?
All right, so my story is a bit different. First time I came to HARP, right? I kind of didn't really know what to expect. And I didn't buy all the way in, but I do know that a few things that I was introduced to, at first it was weird. Like some of the things like tapping, it just didn't make any sense to me. I thought it looked funny. I thought Miss Rose was kind of silly for showing it to us, right? Until after a round or two and I started yawning, I realized that I'm getting tired, right? My nervous system is actually easing up. I'm always in survival mode, right? So I'm always on high alert, very, very cautious when it comes to trying new things and trusting people. But tapping, that's kind of what broke the ice for me and Miss Rose. She actually showed me something for the first time that definitely did something for me and benefited me. And she didn't ask for anything in return, but for me to try it out.
And so then what does it then look like for you after we get over that threshold of, okay, this is weird, to this feels weird, to this is something useful? What does it now look like as you're using these tools? Are you doing it only in group settings? Are you doing it on your own? Like, how do you think to access this stuff as you navigate your day?
For me, it's routine. I start off every morning. I have time with myself, time with my God. I meditate. And then it's incorporating things like tapping and havening in my routine. So I may meditate. And then halfway through my meditation, I may decide, you know what, I'm going to add a little tapping to it. Or I'm going to add a little havening to it. And those things, it kind of all works together in a weird way for me personally. It's just taking advantage for once of the things that I've been given and actually putting them into practice. And I can tell a difference in myself over the last 12 months than probably majority of my life, in all honesty.
And so what does that difference look like? So you know something is different. How do you know you're different?
My energy. I'm more genuine these days. I'm more open. I'm slow to anger, quick to understand. And I think that really comes from being able to center myself and find myself. I'm in my body more. I listen to understand. I'm not worried about having the first word or being right all the time. I'm more content with being in the moment, learning and growing. And if I find myself in a situation in which I do feel myself ready to step out of my square, I just go in my cell and I'll tap or I'll meditate or I'll pray or I'll do all three at the same time, depending on where I'm at for the day. But that's really the growth I see in myself. I'm a natural born fighter and a natural born runner. Those things have caused me a lot of trouble in my life. And today I don't do either one of those things. I can sit still, I can breathe, I can enjoy the moment, and I can face whatever comes at me. But that's only because I know how to deregulate. Like I know how to calm myself down.
Yeah. And I've known EJ. EJ was in here at the very beginning for me. you know, and to see who he is today. I'll tell you, we had a moment this week, and I'm going to out him on it. And I said to him, how are you? And he said, not good. Because the standard response for all humans is fine. And he said, not good. You know, and so having the awareness of that and knowing that you have people that you can tell the truth to, you know, and that are going to hug you and love you and be there and try to help and support you. Because, you know, you know, we all have, life is showing up for everybody. And it's just knowing that you can own it and say it, you know, like that there are people that you can say, yeah, I'm not fine today. You know, and I said, do they know you're not fine? And he said, yeah, they know I'm not fine. I told him this morning, I'm not fine. You know, and I think that to me is, I don't know, that's everything. You know, I mean, you don't have to numb it. You can just sit in it and not be fine.
And so EJ, then what's the next frontier in this work for you? Like, I'm not done. You're probably not done. Like, as you sit here and you continue to do this internal work, like what's that leading edge of the thing that you know is the next boogeyman that you need to go after, the next place that you're getting triggered? What's that next bit for you?
In all honesty, my future is uncertain right now. I really don't know what I'm looking at as far as time goes. But what I can tell you is that I'm making sure that I keep myself in the position to when that door opens, I'm ready. I would love to get in the field of like motivational speaking. I'm definitely a writer. I love music. Those are things that I hope I have opportunity to do. But in all honesty, I just want to be a part of the solution for a change. I've been looking at maybe becoming a certified substance abuse counselor. I know this path. I know this road better than anybody who has never traveled this road, right? So I look at it like who would be better to help guide somebody out of a situation than somebody that's been in that situation. And that's my future plans, just to help somebody. Whatever happens, but that's the goal.
Yeah, we have a program, Gene, called I Never Thought It'd Be Me, and I take 4 of my men and women, and I use my story, and they use their stories, and we teach students, you know, kind of about mental health and addiction, and EJ was part of that last initiative, and he actually taught the difference in like fake and real drugs and fentanyl, but used his own story. And he's a really talented writer and rapper. He got to be on stage with Jelly Roll, and I get asked whenever we are in schools, and they know they follow us, so they know that that's there. And I always get asked in every performance, hey, can we hear EJ rap? And I'm always like, no, you know. Because we don't have time, you know. But on our last performance, I was like, sure, you know. And so I knew it would put him on the spot and make him uncomfortable because he was not prepared for it. Yeah. And so I key it up, and he's like, oh my God, you know. He gets up on stage. I mean, brought the house down. Every kid is on their feet, you know. And it was actually a rap he wrote for his graduation speech to his mom. It was beautiful. You know, but these kids, you know, like, I mean, I just think, you know, there's a message in the mess. And, you know, I get so proud. I love the high that I get these days is watching them step into it, you know, and watching like them change lives. I mean, and see 100 kids who, when we walk in the door, they're like, are they real? You know, and you know, and I'm like, yeah, they're real, you know. And then when we leave, like there's hundreds of kids who are coming up and they're hugging them and they're crying and they're saying, you know, we're going to pray for you and we love you and thank you. My mom is in addiction, or my uncle, and I understand it different today. You know, and when we started out, I mean, we could barely get a school to let us come in. It was like, you know, and then like this last year, I mean, we had so many requests we could barely keep up. And we you know, we actually presented to, you know, like 5,000 students. It was amazing. You know, in our county. So it was amazing. But and like EJ and the guys that did it, they're the stars. I mean, I'm like somebody's mom, you know. Yeah. They're the ones that, you know, like they don't care what I'm saying. They care about what they say. So,
and I want you guys to know, in the room, I got a chance to hang out with Carrie and the sheriff at a conference at the beginning of February in Rwanda, and they just brag on you guys all the time. Like they're just like, they talk about you guys in the world so positively and how much you've given them. So know that they're saying good things around you about you when you're not in the room. Like it's really awesome to see what they think about you guys. EJ, Carrie mentioned that you are a mentor. What does that look like inside the facility as you're like doing interviews and stuff like that? What does that role mean? Why did you want to take on that role?
Oh, well, this time I really wasn't trying to get the role. We have a saying that leadership is witness, not a sign. So a couple guys just happened to see the way I moved in the program and thought they could trust me with the job. I'm one of 5 mentors. We are a cohesive unit. We, on a day-to-day basis, we try to hold the structure of this program. The only difference, in all honesty, between us and someone that's not a mentor is we just have a little more working knowledge of how the program's supposed to work.
Are you above the rules?
I'm not above the rules. I'm held to the same standard as everyone else in this program, if not a higher one, because of my position.
And who wrote the rules?
We wrote the rules. This program, these men that join me, this is our program. Staff does a great job of helping us grow, but when it comes down to like following rules, issuing consequences, like Ms. Rhodes said, interviewing who gets to come in, who gets to stay, things like that. Like that's all in-house. That's 70 some men working together trying to become better men. It's an honor for real. I'm still baffled when someone comes to me and says, I trust you, because that's not something that I take lightly, because I've never really heard that before. So this position is a blessing, and I get to help guys who felt the same way I felt when I first came through the door. Like one of my favorite pastors says it, right? I'm just one beggar trying to show another beggar where I found bread. I'm just one recovering addict trying to show another recovering addict where the recovery begins, and that's this program right here.
That's awesome.
We can end right there, Gene. Bye.
Yeah. Great. Drop the mic, walk away.
Yeah, bye.
So EJ, what is something you have learned from one of the other guys in the program?
I can probably go through everybody, right?
Okay, so give me 2 or 3. Just give me 2 or 3 that come pop into your head. Like, what are the things you've learned from those other guys who are walking with you?
All right, so one of my closest people, like Dave Ford, right? He's another mentor, right? Dave Ford.
This is Dave right here.
Dave Ford has taught me how to really take suggestions and really pay attention to the ones who've done this thing longer, and quite frankly, a lot better than I managed to do on this last run. My brother Fordham, right? He teaches me patience. I love Fordham to death, but I prayed for patience, and God sent me Craig Fordham, right? And I love that. We have a guy here named Sosa Young, probably the youngest, I believe the youngest member to ever be on HARP, right? And Sosa reminds me to just enjoy myself, right? I didn't get a chance to be Sosa's age and enjoy it. And when I get to see him laughing and joking and actually get to be a kid, right? He keeps me young. So I've learned patience. I've learned to trust the ones who come before me, seek counsel. And I've also learned to, hey man, it's okay to be silly and goofy, because that's just who I am.
That's healing. You are goofy. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. What is something, EJ, you wish you knew sooner? Like if you could go back to the 15-year-old version of yourself, and we're going to pretend that the 15-year-old version of yourself was actually going to listen, what's the gift that you'd want to give that 15-year-old version of you?
Love self. Be you. Just be you. You don't need anybody to validate who you are. As long as you can look in that mirror at the end of the night and smile, enjoy that feeling. Just and trust God, and listen to my mother. Like, listen to my mother, because she has some good wisdom.
I'm gonna have to tell her to tune in.
But most importantly, right, just be unapologetically me. Be genuine and authentic in every endeavor. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be goofy. It's okay to maybe you don't fit in because you're meant to stand out, and that's okay.
That's awesome. And one other thing for you, what do you think people in the world, what is the misconceptions they have about addiction?
Where do we begin?
It's a lot, right? The first misconception is nobody woke up in the morning and decided that I wanted to be an addict. I didn't wake up in the morning and decide that I want to be dope sick, or I want to be chemically dependent on a substance.
Mm-hmm.
We are just as human as anyone else.
And addiction is not who you are.
It's not who we are. It doesn't discriminate, right? That we are some of the most gifted, resilient, strong-minded when it comes to making up a mind on what we're going to do, right? And if given opportunity, just watch us work and enjoy the show, because we've been through things that most people, the thought of going through would cause them to shut down. And we've made it through that. We've been through some of the roughest streets, some of the craziest situations, and some of the wildest moments that you could imagine. And we're still here, and we're still strong, and we're still fighting.
Yeah, and I think, Gene, I say to them all the time, like, you know, I'm not a fan of I'm an addict. You have an addiction. You are a person, a beautiful, beautiful person who has an addiction. If I had cancer, I wouldn't be like Carrie Cancer. I'd be like Carrie who has it, right? And the way in, you know, there's so many ways in. The way into addiction for everybody is exposure. So whether the exposure is at the end of a prescription in the healthcare system, or it's trauma, or it's trying to fit in, or it's just being a dodo teenager without really understanding the consequences to what you're doing. You know, there's a lot of ways in, and none of us know when it's going to grab you, and nobody can tell you until it's too late. You know, and that's the thing. And then the behaviors that go with the addiction are not who they are. We always say it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. You know, and I hear their stories every day. I go home and play them in my head. And I pray every day that they're going to survive their addiction. But I tell you right now, there aren't many people who would survive their stories. Like they're not. And I always say the world comes to an end, I'm attaching myself to HARP. Like because there's professional survivors. And in here, they don't have to be in survival. You know, and I want them to be in the world, not in survival. If you're in survival in the world, I want you to get out quick and pivot and find new people, because that's not, you know, that's not living your life. You know, I want them to embrace the safe, not the survival. And so, you know, in here we get to see that all the time. And, you know, there's amazing, beautiful people who are loved by people who have mothers and sisters and brothers and, you know, people who love them, and they're in here trying to get well. And the sheriff has given us an opportunity to do that in a jail. And the benefit for me in that is I have a captive audience. Nobody no-shows. I'll hunt them down. I mean, for real, I will go find them. Like, yeah, they're not coming. Yeah. I mean, they're not coming. So, you know, there's some benefit in that, because this is not, there's no, hey, one thing, this is fixed, you know, and the system that treats it a lot of times acts like, well, after 28 days, you're going to be fine. Or after you do this, you're fine. No, you're going to have to find your way through this for the rest of your life. You know, and addiction's just been, like I said, a solution to a problem. And so we try to give them lots of other solutions that actually empty the bucket. If y'all use that terminology, we use it a lot here, not that fill the bucket back up. And the world is full of profiting off things that fill our buckets up. You know, they sell us I think a pretty tainted bit of good, you know, like you need this to be better. You need this pill to get through this. You need this beer to handle this kind of day. You know, and they profit on both ends of the equation. And, you know, if people just realize that the healing is already within you and you don't need fancy, there are all these tools that you can just do for free. You know, and it works. I mean, we don't think it works these days. I tried to disprove it for the first 2 years I did it, the tapping. I've yet to be able to disprove it. I tried. I'm like, this ain't gonna work, and it works every time.
And so, you know, we've done a really good job of talking about the learnings and the transformation and the community and that sort of stuff. Day to day, what's the hardest part for you, Carrie, as you're like doing this?
Well, I mean, I think, this struggle took my son. And for me, I walk in and it opens a wound a lot of the time. So I think a lot of people don't understand when you ask people to tell their stories, you're taking that Band-Aid off. And so I think for me, sometimes it's the taking the Band-Aid off. And sometimes I think I'm crazy. Why am I in a place that the deck is stacked against people I love and care about and I'm trying to help, where I'm going to, in likelihood, repeat the same thing that already happened to me? Why would I want to be in that situation? So, but this has been the most healing thing that I've ever been a part of in my life. And, I think for me, the hardest part is just, reliving what I've already been through. But knowing that the fight matters and that at the end of the day, I want to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, I fought and I tried to help and make it better. And at the end of whatever time I have left, I hope my son standing at the end saying, Mom, I'm proud.
That's awesome. EJ, same question for you. What's the hardest part day to day as you're navigating this?
Not letting myself get in my way. That's the hardest part. Is staying patient. For me, because I can tell myself a million reasons why I should go somewhere else. But the truth is, there's only one reason why I should stay. And that's because I want to live. So the hardest part is just reminding myself that in recovery, I live, I thrive, I flourish. If I take myself out of recovery, I'm a dead man walking. And that's what I truly believe.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. Do you want to bring in Deputy? Yeah,
I do.
Please.
She's on the side. She's right on our wing. Come on in, CL.
Yeah.
Move over and then just a second there. Just a second. They're hugging. Sorry. This is the only place where deputies hug inmates in a jail.
Well, and people don't realize this because it was before we started all of this. When she walked into the room, all the guys applauded for her when she just walked into the room.
Of course they did. Yeah, it's Seals.
Hi.
Hello, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
So, for those who weren't with us a couple years ago when we had a chance to chat with you, what was your experience like the first time you were introduced to these tools?
Well, I was watching Carrie do it with all the inmates, and I was like, well, good. I'm glad it works, but this is ridiculous. I said, I love you, Carrie, but this is not for me. You're not going to make me drink the Kool-Aid. And then she kind of, I guess, forced us all to sit down in the office, the whole team.
Voluntold.
That was the word I was going to use right there. Absolutely. Voluntold.
And I sat down and I sipped the Kool-Aid. And I said, you know what? I'm watching the inmates do it. Let me try it at home with my kids. And my one daughter was diagnosed years ago with pandas, and she struggled with school. She struggled with sleep. She struggled with friends. And I was at the tail end with what was I going to do with her? And we started tapping. She started sleeping. She started passing school. I never thought that she would ever even get through the next grade. And as of yesterday, I took her to college orientation.
I was so proud of that.
That's awesome.
She got her number one school that she wanted to go to, and she even got a scholarship.
I know.
So it was pretty exciting. And it started with tapping.
That's awesome. So what does it look like day to day for you having these tools at your disposal? Like, are you just like spontaneously in the moment using something like now that you have access to this, what does it actually look like as you're interacting with the men and women in the facility?
So I did 4 years with these men and women, and I used it all the time. I might be throwing somebody under the bus that's sitting right behind me.
I know, Dave's right behind us.
But this gentleman that's sitting behind me, Dave, one of the first real eye-opening things for tapping for me. he came in and he was without sleep for 3 to 4 days, I'm going to say. And he was looking at a lot of time, and he was stressing out, and he was just pacing in his cell. And I called Carrie and said, let's try this. And Carrie and I went down into the cell with him, and we sat in the cell and we tapped with him. And he began to yawn. He actually sat down, which I never thought he would even sit down. And he tapped with us, and he let loose his emotions with us. And I said to him, okay, Dave, I have to go back to my job. I'm going to come back and check on you. Well, I came back probably about 20 minutes later, and I took a picture and sent it to Carrie. And I said, he is out cold. He's sleeping, and it looks like he's sleeping like a toddler with nothing but no care in the world on his mind. Just he was sleeping, and I don't think anything could have done that. And I couldn't believe it. My eyes were like shocked. I couldn't believe it. And he's been doing it, and he's been doing great. He teaches it in here, and he's one of my, I dare to say, one of my best friends.
No. Yeah.
That's really
awesome. And once Seal's finished with HARP, she's out on the road now. She serves warrants, and she's out in the community and does lots of things out in there. And I love it because like she was my wingman in here, because like when you see like it's one thing for me to do it or my team to do it, but to see somebody with a badge do it, and she was like unabashedly afraid. Like once she really drank the Kool-Aid, she was like, she was tapping all over the place, and in the jail, and now she's outside of the jail, and and that continues, and that makes me so proud that that she's out there and she spreads it even in the community. She had a traffic stop the other day, and she called me. She goes, "Guess what? I used it." And I'll let her tell you. But she had a traffic stop. She had a traffic stop the other day.
So yeah, again, I'm using this all the time. I do different teams with the sheriff's office. I'm a peer supporter, so I support my other coworkers, and I also am on the CIT team, which is crisis intervention. And so when a crisis pops up, I'm normally called into something like that. So having this as a tool on my belt is amazing. But I was driving down the road the other day, and there was a car. I see it kind of swerve a little bit and then pull off the road. So I said, let me turn around and go check on that. And I turned around and I pulled behind and put on my lights, got out of the car, and I walked over to find out what was going on. And I see a woman sitting in her car, and I could see she's just full of emotions, just crying, hyperventilating. And I said, okay, let's see. I get her to roll down her window, and I said, what's going on? And she said she was on her way to therapy, and she has severe anxiety, and a rock jumped up and hit her window and cracked her windshield. And she just said, I can't do it. I can't make it to therapy. I can't do this anymore. And she just continued to cry. And I said, I'd like to try something with you if you'd allow me. I said, it's going to seem weird. I said, but just follow along with me. And we started to tap. And then we havened. And I could just see the fear going out of her. The tears stopped. The heavy breathing stopped. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, somebody did it to me. Now I'm passing it to you. And I said, when you go to your therapist, tell them what you did on the side of the road with the deputy. And sure enough, as soon as I was done with it, I got back in my car, and the first person I called was Carrie. I said, you're not going to believe this. But of course she believed it.
Of course I believed it. Yeah. I was like, oh,
that's right.
Yeah. This girl needs a new therapist. She needs like somebody like Seal.
That's right.
And I said to her, and you can tell your therapist this is free.
Yeah, this is free. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you staff? Do you guys tap with each other? And if you do, what does that look like?
So yeah, like I said, I'm a peer supporter from the staff, and I've had people come to me in crisis. And I've sat in my car with people and tapped. I've gone to their houses and tapped. I have a friend / coworker who is a firefighter here in Chesterfield. And he came to me, he said he heard about tapping, he'd love to learn more about it, that his son was starting to pick up marijuana, and said that's the only thing that soothes him. And I went over to his house and I tapped with him, his wife, his twin sons, and his other son. And now they've drank the Kool-Aid and they tap all the time. They give me updates on how well the tapping's doing. And that young man is now starting college this year also.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it was quite the change. His twin brother said, I never thought I'd get my brother back. And he's back to being an athlete, going to college, and they're going together.
That's amazing. Yeah. And we do tap as a staff. So, you know, we've had some really hard moments in here as a staff. Like the highs are good. Like when you get to see them doing amazing things, it's amazing. But, you know, behind me, you'll see like these, it looks like stamps in the picture, but they're actually people that we've lost to overdose. And we have that up here as a reminder, one, to honor their struggle and to always remember and forget. But you know, those, like when we have hard days or we're struggling as a team, because we're doing a lot of heavy lifting in here, we do sit in a circle and just, and tap, and a haven and turn stuff down for ourselves.
And we don't wait for Carrie to tell us that we need to. We'll say, hey, Carrie, we've had a bad day. Yeah. And we'll get the whole team together and just sit in the office and tap.
Yeah. And I like that something, I don't need to be here. I don't need to, I'm not the, you know, I brought it in, but you went way past me. I don't need to even be a part of it. I love that there's something that they can use when there's no staff here on the weekends, or, you know, they need it for themselves. You know, and getting people like Deputy Seals and some of the other deputies to really use it and see the value is big, because, you know, in law enforcement, there's this unwritten rule that says, I'm okay even when I'm not okay. And they're, you know, like, and, you know, it's hard. They're mental, like they deal with a lot every day, and the mentality is keep going, move. And to have a tool that we know helps them too. And that was the sheriff saying, like, he saw what was happening in HARP, and he said, I want you to have the deputies learn this. So I teach in the academy when we have deputies coming in, and they all learn to tap and haven long before they hit the floor of this jail or the courthouse. That's awesome. They learn about the tap. He has them, he's like, you know, I want you to, so the whole sheriff's department has been trained in tapping.
And the cool thing about that, on top of being able to learn it while you're in the academy and being able to learn it as a deputy, is it's another tool in our belt that if we're walking through these units, we'll see them tapping as groups. That's cool, but it's when they're in their room and they're tapping, we might actually know that maybe keep an eye on them a little bit, but at least they're doing self-care. But we're also seeing that they're struggling with something at that moment. Right. So it's good for us to be able to, when we're walking past each one of these rooms, we have to make sure everybody's good. And that is a tool that we can see, well, they're doing self-care, so they're good with that. Let's just keep an eye on them in case it's going to be something more of a struggle for them.
What do you call, sorry, I'm blanking on the name. What do you call the place in court where you sit waiting? Oh, sorry. Thanks. They have some of these things. So in court, when you go to court, you have to sit in the bullpen while you're waiting to be called, and you have to sit there forever and ever and ever. You know, and so we got a call not too long ago. The sheriff got a call from one of the judges, and he's like, what in the world is this person doing in the bullpen? You know, and they were just sitting there just tapping, and the deputies kept going, you okay? Are you okay? And, you know, and they're like, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm just trying to, you know, get through this. Yep. You know, so it's been something that's been, you know, like, I mean, they said I came back. The deputies must have asked me if I was fine. If you do it in other jurisdictions, they really think somebody's lost their.
Well, I have gotten letters when I was the HARP deputy from people from other jurisdictions saying that they learned about it from people tapping in the bullpen, and they need to know more. Oh. Can I be a part of this group?
That's awesome. So, deputy, for deputy, for you, what's the hardest part of the work that you're doing? Like for you personally, not like tactically and strategically, big picture, just like you as a human, as you're dealing with this, what's the hard part for you?
The hard part is not being able to get someone or something back. You know, I signed up for this job because I wanted to help people. My background before this was EMS. And so obviously I just want to help. I just want to get out there and help. So if I can't help somebody, when those pictures come up on the wall, that's the hardest part for me, because I feel to myself, I feel like it could be a failure. And I know it's not me. I know it's not my fault, but it's a hard part to try to change my mindset on that.
That's awesome. I just like it's just humbling to listen to you talk about the way you approach this work and why you're doing it. Like it's just, that's awesome. Carrie, is there someone else who we should be talking to? Should we do some tapping? What makes the most sense with the time we got left?
Yeah, why don't we do some tapping? Why don't I bring Bo in and we can lead some tapping, and then you can decide if you want them to talk about HARP. You can read it. So this is Bo, one of my HARP guys. Did the training yesterday for the trauma therapy certification. And like I said, they're super creative. I got a bunch of guys who wrote them. If you're watching this, check out our HARP talk. They'll be on there. Tapping Tuesdays.
We'll share all the links and make sure everybody can see all the stuff. So, but before you lead us through a little tapping here, just talk to me about your experience with tapping. Like what has it in tapping and all of the other tools? Like, how do you know things are different? How do you know this is useful for you?
Well, I've struggled my whole life with anxiety, and I have like this little thing of worrying about everything.
This little thing about worrying about everything.
That's all. I just worry about everything, nothing else, just all the things.
Yeah, just little things. And
little.
I turn the smallest things into a snowball in my mind, and it just gets bigger and bigger. And Miss Rhodes presented tapping when I first came into HARP, and the first time that I tried it, I didn't know what it was. What is this magic that she's doing? Because it calmed me, and I've never experienced something that calmed my nervous system the way that tapping did. And I started to kind of just do it here and there, and then meditate more and more. And my mentor, EJ, he actually helps me with meditation, kind of guides me in it and gets me stronger in it. And so I just kind of been practicing it. And then yesterday when we were working on our certifications, I just started falling more and more in love with it. And last night I really had kind of a out of body experience with it when I went to sleep, because I've struggled with nightmares since I've came here. And I tapped my little heart away last night, and I probably had the best dream that I've had since I've been here. And so I just enjoy it. It really helps me to battle my anxiety without having to take alternatives.
That's awesome.
We'll have to take meds, right?
Without having to take meds.
Yeah, that's awesomeness. Sweet. Awesome. Let's do some tapping.
All right.
Okay. Well, I start with the hand.
Why don't you do your script? I'm gonna have him just read the script.
Okay.
Perfect.
My name is Bo, and I've battled my entire life with anxiety. I would have never thought something so simple would calm my nervous system the way tapping does. I'd like to invite you all to join in what works for me to ease my worry and anxiety. I start with the hand. Notice where in your body you feel anxious. Then I move to the eyebrow. Repeat after me. I'm okay with the fact I feel it.
I'm okay with the fact that I feel it.
Feel it.
Side of the eyes. My worry and anxiety is just a heightened awareness.
My worry and anxiety
is just a heightened awareness.
Under the eyes. I accept the part my anxiety has played in my survival.
I accept the part that my anxiety has played in my survival.
Under the nose. I do not have to be in survival mode anymore.
I do not have to be in survival mode anymore.
Under the lip. I am grateful for the person I have become.
I am grateful for the person I've become.
Collarbone. I welcome in peace and positivity.
I welcome in peace and
positivity.
Under your arm. The spirit within me is love.
The spirit within me is love.
Then I finish with the top of the head. I am okay and accept whatever comes next.
I am okay and accept whatever comes next.
And then take a deep breath and let it out. May your spirit be filled with hope and love. Blessings.
Awesome.
Wasn't that amazing?
That's so good. That is so good.
That was so good.
Bo, can I ask you another question?
Yes, sir.
What do you think people get wrong about you?
About me?
Yeah, about you. Like, what's the thing they don't see that is true about you?
that inside I'm just a really gentle spirit that really has been looking for love my whole life, like looking to be loved, because it was things I never got to experience when I was younger, and found it in other ways in my life. But I mean, obviously I look a certain way, and off of perception, I usually get judged right off the bat, but my spirit inside really is kind, and I'm trying to learn how to let that be seen more and more.
That's awesome. One other question for you. What is one thing that you've learned from one of the guys in the room?
I've learned something from every single person in the room, to be honest with you. I'll probably pinpoint out all 5 of the mentors. Each one of them, I get to go to them whenever I feel any type of like worries or concerns, or just need to talk with somebody. And I think that the best part about it is that every mentor is different, like completely different. Like I might come to Dave right here if I need to talk about a particular thing, or I might come to Fordham if I need to talk about something else, or I might come to Ron if I need to talk to another thing. And each of them always have good advice for me to help me to not bury who I truly am inside, to let it be shown. Like before I came over here, like EJ always has something nice to say and tells me, don't forget to let your spirit shine. And it's just the little things that actually matter.
That's awesome. Excellent. So we got some more tapping, or what else should we do, Carrie?
I don't know. What do you want to do? I'm trying not to be in charge. I'm trying not to be in charge, but I mean, like, one of the things that you feel in HARP, and I wish you guys could be here to feel it, and hopefully out there you do feel it. But it's a container, like a place to hold space for each other, and whether it's your worries or your pain or your suffering, the circle in here is sacred. And I hope one day you get a chance to sit in it, Gene, with us, but
yeah, we're going to make that happen.
So, they do a really good job of holding space and creating, that, because I think suffering shared is suffering lessened. And that's something that, like they teach me in here all the time.
That's awesome.
I have this thought. So one of the things that we love to do in HARP, we do a lot of creativity, and, we tap and we rap and we do some of those kinds of things. Are you up for a rap?
Yeah, I'm up for anything and everything.
And they're grumbling because they're not prepared for me to say that.
Awesome. Put them on the spot.
All right.
Let's do it.
Did he? Who are we gonna get? Where is he?
Everybody spoken word wrong. Spoken word wrong.
Thank you, bro.
I thought the fact that the moment you started calling on him that he conveniently needed to go to the restroom and ran away.
Well, one has run away, but we'll find him. Hold on.
Excellent.
Well, come on, fast.
Come on, let's go.
Just sit right here. Yes, sit beside me. So being able to tolerate uncomfortable and is part of this program, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So Ronald is he's one of our spoken word, I think, experts in here, and so like they write from a place that most people can't access. So he's gonna give you a little flav. All right. So you got anything? So Ronald, go ahead. Talk to me.
So you would like to hear some I write poetry?
Yeah. Let me hear your soul, man.
I don't know if you can handle my soul, man.
Let's try. Bring it on. Let's do it.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
He's flipping through the book of all his writing.
Well, I wrote this one about HARP last week, right? So
Great.
I haven't read this to nobody at all.
Awesome.
I guess it's the perfect time to try it out, right? But understand, this is the first time that I'm reading it to everybody, so I'm gonna kill it. But usually I like to memorize these, right? Because I get kind of
Passion. He's got a little bit of passion.
But I'm gonna read this to you. It's called HARP, and then
Great.
and this is how it goes. HARP, helping addicts recover progressively. I was corrupted in the mind, and then this program tested me. Let me tell you of a boy who was corrupted at an early age. You see, I struggled to trust the world. I became lost and filled with rage. See, this program told me to trust the process, and it works if you work it. But my brain struggled to comprehend this. I just couldn't believe I was worth it. You see, I have been lost and broken for many years, wearing an unrecognizable mask to hide and shield my tears. Trauma intensive opened doorways to my feelings. It provided me with the coping skills and the borrowed effect of healing. From tapping and havening to the relief of mindful breathing. You see, my mirror reflects an image, and in that image, I'm truly believing. From the tears of the desperate, we find connection in our struggle. We find joy in our redemption as we emerge from the rubble. Now my strength becomes ever present because vulnerability becomes my power. I become comfortable with being uncomfortable as I find the light in my darkest hour. Now we say it's progress, not perfection. This program was built with the power of connection. Now acceptance and accountability becomes a must. And with the love and affection, we begin to trust. Now the circle of connection is undeniable with the staff and my brother standing next to me. This program is truly one of a kind, helping addicts recover progressively.
Let's go. I know.
That's awesome.
Well,
Thanks for sharing that, man.
There's no talent in here.
Yeah.
I asked him last week. I heard him do a spoken word, and I said, I need you to write one for HARP. And he said, I will.
That's awesome.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I loved it.
That is so good. Awesomeness. So I got one other question for you, man.
I sing, I rap, I dance. I'm a motivator in the workouts.
He's a taskmaster is what he is.
That's awesome.
He's a jack of many trades.
So I want to ask you the same question I asked one of the other guys. If you could go back to your 15-year-old self, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Stay away from the girls.
That's good advice. That's good advice.
Awesomeness.
Be more open-minded, man. I would say just be more open-minded. And I wish I could tell myself that being vulnerable is okay. Mm-hmm. I held a lot of things in from my past throughout my adolescent life and my young adult life. And it hindered me a lot in life and my decision making. And so I would just say, you know, it's okay to be vulnerable and tell people how you feel.
That's awesome. Excellent. Well, so good. Carrie, thanks. Guys, thanks. I appreciate you guys being so open and honest and sharing your story and where you are. It is a real gift to all of us to get a chance to just hang out with you guys and hear your stories for a little bit. It's just really, really awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. As you look at the screen right now, you can see a link to the entire playlist of every single conversation for previous 24 hours of tapping. There are over 120 presentations waiting for you. And please consider supporting the amazing work of the Peaceful Heart Network.